My name's Adam Lane. I'm the CEO of Oak Strength. We are a functional fitness gym in the Southern Loves Park area. We specialize in functional fitness for adult clientele to get them to feel better, move better, lose weight. And then obviously we have a very holistic approach that then applies to youth athletes and sport performance through that thing. And the big driver of everything that we do is Sparta Science. About a year and a half ago, I went to a strength conditioning symposium in Austin, Texas. Some of the best strength conditioning minds in the world, getting together, and people present and stuff like that, and they tell you about what they're doing and and it's great, but it's for their clientele and their group at their time, and not every idea works with every other person that you come across. Like that works great for you, but not for you. You read a 5K training program out of this magazine that might be great for you, or it might be awful for you. It might be too much training, might be too little training. Like it's not necessarily meant for the masses. So you kind of take stuff with a grain of salt. So one of my best experiences while there is that I had a couple beers with a guy by the name of Jim Steele, who is the strength conditioning coach at Penn. And I like him because he's an old school guy. He was at Penn for a really, really long time, like just steeped in knowledge, just in old school, just simple. Lift some weights, sprint fast, there's strength and conditioning. So he mentioned this Sparta thing a couple times over, and I had no idea what he was talking about. I just initially just nodded, like, oh yes, Sparta, okay, sounds good. And finally I called him out, I'm like, Jim, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you shed some light on this? And he's like, Adam, I don't understand the technology. All I know is that our volleyball team uses it, our football team uses it, because those are the teams he directly coached. And my kids don't get hurt. He's like, the soccer team actually doesn't use it, and they had 3 ACLs last year. So I'm like, wow, that's weird. So then over the next, I don't know how many, 6-9 months, I had conversations with Sparta in the way of, hey, what do you do? How do you do it? How can it work for us? And then in our area and stuff like that, because we service a different population than, the University of Pennsylvania. So had some great conversations with the people over at Sparta and just what they do and how they do it. And I'm not a big tech guy. Pretty basic with stuff. I don't think I'm that old, but I don't know. I just love, I think sometimes technology gets too crazy and we get too attached to our phones and watches and things that I just want to be a human. But here's what it breaks down to be. Okay, it's a insanely crazy, sensitive, expensive force plate. Okay, that figures out how you put force in the ground. Okay, whether it be running or jumping or whatever it might be. It's you versus gravity. Okay. Unless you're a swimmer, and then this thing totally changes. But if you're not a swimmer, then we have a conversation. Okay. In reality, the way you put force in the ground is the name of the game. If you put force in the ground in a very efficient manner, you'll be healthy. If you don't, there's a good chance you'll get hurt. And so what Sparta did, and they're up to 880,000 scans, and a screensaver. 880,000 scans. When they first started scanning people, because if you look at force plate data, it goes up, it goes down, and it's like newtons per millisecond. And I'm a math guy, I'm a numbers guy, but it didn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Somebody goes like that, and somebody else goes like that, and somebody else goes like that. And it doesn't mean anything to anybody. So what they started to do is that they would scan somebody, and if 2 days later they tore the ACL, they made note. Okay, and they'd scan somebody else, and if a day later they tore a hamstring, they made a note. And if somebody else scanned like this and they didn't get hurt, they made note. And so then almost 900,000 scans later, they had this fantastic database, okay, across professional, collegiate, high school, regular people, database in the way of knowing that if you scan out in a specific way, there's a chance you could hurt yourself in this specific manner. You're weak in this specific way. Okay? And I love it just because it's data-based. That is it. And guys, what it actually ends up kind of being is that when we have people test, there are multiple tests that we can do with this. And depending on who you are and what your goals are and stuff like that, I'll just pick it. We work with a VC United volleyball club. Okay, we work with about 210 of their athletes. There's a lot of jumping that these volleyball kids do. Some of these kids jump in a very efficient manner where they synchronize in a very nice way, and they're beautifully healthy, and it's awesome. And there's some kids that don't. And it's scary because they play up by the net, and then all of a sudden they have to turn in a weird, funny way, and that's where injury stuff can happen. So what we do is that we scan them. We have our database of a truck ton of athletes, okay? And then we're able to train them based on what they're good at, what they're not good at, okay? And a lot of times, and this is the not exciting part, it's training their weaknesses that makes them better, okay? To work on the things that you hate, okay? That keeps you healthy, that nobody wants to do. You know, oh, if you hate core work, it's probably because you're weak in the core. You know, stuff as such. Here's my goal with stuff. So the kid that jumps to mind, Nikos, he's a junior at Boylan. He's a middle, really tall kid, 6'6", plays football, tight end on the football team. Nikos, when he first scanned out there, okay? Here's what we're looking for, because you're like, what the heck is all that? And that kind of explains that in the handout, okay? There are three, I guess, numbers that they bring to light, okay? With specifically, this is the jump scan, okay? It's load, explode, and drive, okay? Load, that first number, is how you put force into the ground, okay? So it's that coming up to going down piece, okay? That eccentric piece. So like if you squat, the going down piece. If you deadlift, the going down piece, okay? He's really good at that, really good, okay? This middle piece is explode, okay? That's basically the amortization phase from going down to up, okay? You have to be kind of watering this down a little bit, but you have to be tight in the trunk, strong in the core, because if you're like Gumby, you're gonna go, huh, and then go, in which to explode, and then his explode would be low, but it's not in this case, he's actually really high. He's an athletic kid. Okay, where he struggles, okay, is this drive phase. That's the finishing of the jump. Okay, that's actually, you know, applying the force and that concentric phase coming up. Okay, the bad part of this, that's where the exclamation point in red comes up to be, specifically for this scan. Okay, this is actually a high ACL risk scan. Okay, actually really high ACL risk scan. Okay, so we were able to identify. Now here's the deal: not all scans are like bad ACL. So I think just one of the things I really want to communicate with stuff like, I love like ACL prevention programs. I think they're a great idea, but not everybody needs them. You need what you need. Okay, which might be different than the person sitting next to you. So it just can't be like everybody does the same thing. It might work for you, but it might not work for you, and there's a good chance it won't work for you. You know, but it might be fun to do it with people, but everybody's different. And not everybody needs the same program, okay? So what we did with Nikos is over a period of time, from here to here, you can see his drive was at 38, trained him a little while, still at 38, learning movements, blah, 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 to a 39, to a 45, to a 45. And actually we went to scan him actually earlier this week. He got in a little car accident. So Sparta can do a lot of great things. We can't prevent car accidents, okay? So that's just what we're looking for, okay? We're looking for very balanced numbers here. Like, you don't have to be perfect across the chart here, okay? But we want something within range. When I say range, and I don't know if it's explained in that handout, not specifically. We're looking for numbers above 45, and we're looking for the top and the bottom to be within 15 of each other. And if you are, you're probably pretty okay, okay? And if you're not, you can have issues from that, okay? Specifically here with Nikos, this is a high risk for something ACL. Not everybody is ACL. Rayan's one of our volleyball kids. Okay, she's very good on the drive side of things. Okay, she's also middle. She's very tall, very tall. She's going to Bradley this next year. She's awesome, great kid. Okay, but very low in the explode. Okay, so that trunks thing specifically for her, and that's on the back side of your sheet at the bottom. It kind of explains that explode piece, okay, where she's deficient. Now she's probably deficient because she's 6'5", and she has a lot of trunk in which to stabilize. Okay, I probably would have that issue too if I was 6'5". Okay, so her thing is she's able to put okay load into the ground, but she kind of gets all Gumby-ish. Okay, and she bleeds force, and then so she specifically in this case, okay, is really apt to like low back issues because we're not as strong through here as what we need to be. There could be some other things too. Okay, so her program specifically over the last 2.5 months of us training them has been very, very trunk focused, and that again kind of bottom middle of that back sheet. She doesn't always enjoy it because now again we're working with what they struggle with. Okay, but we're getting her better. And again, if the goal being here, because you could see how really unbalanced we were, to being less unbalanced to being less unbalanced. We're getting there. We're not perfect yet. Okay, and it takes time. Okay, but that's the goal of what we're trying to do. And the reality is that Nikos and Ryan, even though they're both tall kids, even though they both play the same position, okay, in the same sport, they need very different training programs. Okay, because if you put them both in the same program, somebody's not going to get what they need. Okay. Or what you typically see, even if you give a balanced program, they still continue to be deficient, okay, in their movement patterns, and whatever they're bad at continues to be bad, and whatever injury risk that they're still at is continue to be an injury risk. And that, I don't know. Guys, I'm not that, I don't know, I'm 39. I don't think I'm that old. I'm too old to be injured. I have too much stuff going on in my life where I can't be hurt. Okay, I don't know what I would do if something went wrong. Like that would, gosh, holy cow. It would be stress on my family, it'd be stress on the business. It'd be bad. It would be bad. So this is everything that we drive to do. Now we don't only just help the youth, like normal, regular adults can do this, and it's the same thing. Okay, and we're looking for balance. Okay, and it's funny because you try to guess what a person might be, and Katie can attest to this. Katie's basically our assistant director of youth performance. It's a great title. Just made that up. Yeah, I know. It sounded really good. Yeah. But like it works with our adult population too. And some of our adults scan out beautifully, and some of our adults are really deficient with stuff. And so we give them specific like extra credit work of what it might be. And again, that's kind of on the bottom of that sheet, because there's a variety of different scans that you can really that you can scan out to be. Okay, and guys, this is just looking at the jumps test. The one I really love specifically for runners, there's a balance test in which we get you up here and stand on one foot, barefoot, blindfolded. And, and that's a very unique one in the way of predicting injury risk of knees, ankles, just overall, hip and hamstring strength and stuff like that. But I think the best part of this thing, I love running. I used to be a really big runner. I don't want to say I'm a retired runner, but I'm a little more balanced in my training now. If I didn't see myself getting better, I don't think I would have continued to do it. If you do all that work and then your mile time is still the same, your 5K time is still the same, like I would have stopped. You need something to know that you're getting better. And that's where I think this stuff comes in, fantastically. That not only can kids can see, performance on the court or the field or the track, or it might be, or adults the same, but actually see like, oh, hey, my overall Sparta score is a 78. It was a this, now it's a this. I can see myself getting better. Not only do I feel myself getting better, okay, I feel more athletic. I feel quicker. Okay, I feel healthier. But now things are better in that sense. I rambled for a really long period of time. What questions do you have? Ideally, test, train, retest, see improvement. I think all of the movements are good. It just depends if it's appropriate for you in your situation. There's really nothing like, people are like, oh, what do you think about this? I'm like, yeah, it sounds great. If you're that type of athlete. What about this? Like, oh yes, if you need that. Because there's really nothing that we don't, we wouldn't prescribe at one point or another because it's just, oh, that's ridiculous. No, they're all good. You just have to know how to use them and how to put them together, in the right way to keep you healthy.